Thank you for the evidence that you've given today, and I'm really glad that we've been able to create this time so that your perspectives from your communities can be heard as part of this process. I want to begin with MND Australia. Under the legislation as currently written and under the timeline that government has given for the implementation of this legislation, from the 1st of January 2028, new eligibility criteria will apply to new applicants of the scheme. Existing applicants will then gradually be reassessed over a transition period. Central to both of these processes will be the construction of a new functional capacity assessment, functional capacity test. At the moment, there is no exemption or carve-out for MND. And I notice in your submission and in your statement how you've underlined for us so clearly how valuable this distinct process has been for your community. It's currently not enshrined in the legislation. So the state of play as we sit here is that is not part of the future of the NDIS if this legislation passes. What would it mean for your community having fought so long for a pathway where you speak to somebody who gets it, they understand the importance of time and timeliness when it comes to motor neuron disease? What would it mean for you to lose this dedicated pathway at this point?
For people living with motor neuron disease, to not have access to the NDIS would be devastating, beyond devastating. It would dramatically impact their lives. For what is proposed with the new legislation, without having the priority pathway, the funding support just wouldn't be provided in line with the progression of their disease. As Joe said, if the average time from diagnosis to death is only 27 months, but often we hear of cases where people pass away in less than 12 months, without the priority pathway, they will be receiving plans approved that don't fit their needs anymore and needing to be reapplying and reassessed, and that plan won't fit their needs anymore. It just won't work for this cohort of people. Joe, I'll ask you to give some more detail, but the outrage from the community will be, no, not even just the outrage, lives will suffer, people will suffer.
Yeah. It sounds like losing this pathway would actually do harm to people.
It would be catastrophic, yeah. And I think if you follow it through to its to an end conclusion, people would end up being back in hospital again, living their last days in hospital, and having not a great quality of life in a when they've got a condition like MND that is shocking, awful, terrible, but to add to that you can't get the key supports that will enable you to live your best life for those for your remaining days, I think would be pretty shocking to the community. And look, I guess too, we've had this pathway that works, and so then to roll it back, I think that it would be this is not very probably a good language, but a bit of a kick in the guts to people that would potentially be taken away. And I guess too, the progression part is the critical thing too. It's the progression can happen so quickly, and that's where the assessment and the reassessment potentially not being given, or the assessment sort of being at that moment in time is not a great thing for people with motor neurone disease. If we could also kind of think about or reference the aged care system, we know that the algorithms and the assessment process for people with MND in that space is not working, and it does align to some of the things that we're talking about here that we potentially could be rolled back, which will be catastrophic.